with live. One of the first things I forgot to say too is just because I'm up here talking to you about Facebook parties does not mean I'm an expert. It's one thing that we had a dinner a couple weeks ago with our co-founder Debbie. One word that she left us with was being consistent. So for 2.5 years, I've stayed consistent. What that means is I don't always have great parties, y'all, because I think that's one of the biggest discouragements people say with I can't do online parties. I did one and I got $0 sales. I did one and I got $100 in sales. Me too. Okay, right now I have a party at $1,300 in sales, and the other one is sitting at 0. Okay, the key is staying consistent with your business, just like in an in-home party. You're gonna have parties where it seems like nothing comes out of it, but you may get that recruit or that next booking or the best next customer that you're gonna have. So my biggest encouragement to you is when you're looking at your business, whether it's in-home or online, is finding out what works for you and sticking with it and trying new things and not getting discouraged when something doesn't go well. Because I tell everybody on my team, if I stopped my business because of a few bad parties, I would have quit when I started. Yeah. Because that would have stopped all of my momentum. And so I'm really going to try and stick to my script here, and then y'all can ask me questions because I'm not going to go into every little thing that I do. But even just to let y'all know, 2.5 years in, I'm still all the time, like everybody's talked about, watching people's parties, their verbiage, the podcasts, the trainings. They're, as we've been talking about, the student-teacher mentality, always keep learning because there's always something you can grow and try. And one thing that's really good with Facebook is there's always fun, different ways to do games and memes and keep it fun and keep it lighthearted to where it doesn't feel too salesy on Facebook. And that's even something, even now, I'm trying to get better about and how I change my posts and making it more fun and changing up those graphics. So we'll talk about that in a little bit too. But really it's going to come down to trial and error. People ask me, should I do groups? Should I do events? It's really trial and error based on your preference. I have attended so much training from Norwex and outside of Norwex that say, is it Facebook events? Is it groups? Tell me, which one is it? There's not a right or wrong answer. My personal opinion that events work better. You can talk to me about that later and I'll explain why. But I always do my parties and events. And one of the biggest things we talked about before is hosting coaching is pivotal. It is different than an in-home party. Coaching starts, like y'all said, at the party as you're asking questions and stuff with people, and it doesn't end with the party because there's a process that follows after that. So just like we talked about points of contact, if I book a party, I've already got 7 parties booked for January, so I'm not going to keep those, I'm not going to not talk to those hosts for a month and a half. So when the new rewards come out, a good point of contact is saying, hey, the January rewards just came out. What goal would you like to hit? Keeping those conversations going even before the party has started can still happen online, and it's just as important to keep that momentum going and keeping them excited. You want to explain the rewards to them in the same way you would with an in-home, showing them, like if you're giving a host coaching packet for an in-home party, you're doing the same work, but you're doing it online. So explain to them. So I have all this scripted and written out so that it's not work for you to do each time. Keep those scripts in your notes or on your computer. Explain the rewards to them so that they know what they're getting, and then help them to know what they're aiming for. And ask them when they book the party what their wish list items are, so that you can strategically, just the way you would with an in-home, help them with some of those wish list items for free. So those are all good things to keep in point of contact and keeping the conversation going before the party ever happens. Another thing that I like to ask them is, what's the best way to communicate? We don't think about that. We think Facebook is automatically the best way to communicate. I have hosts that are way better texters or on the phone than they are on Facebook Messenger. I think Facebook Messenger is great, and Facebook algorithms actually benefit you using the Messenger app because they're connected. That's another whole thing we can get into. There's a training from Norwex on that. But asking what's the best way to communicate so that you're not frustrated when your host doesn't respond back to you. Ask her questions like, are all the people coming to your party, are they new guests? Are they returning customers? Is it half and half? Is there a specific product that you struggle in your area? Because I have customers all over the U.S. It's 99% of my business is online. If they're in Texas, they have extremely hard water. So I'm going to talk about the descaler. I don't talk about here in Georgia as much, but I'm definitely going to talk about it in Texas. And so find the areas that are specific to them or to their people. If they're fitness people, if they've got lots of dogs, I do a lot of pet posts, even though it's not related to, and I don't talk about it in my live, but I'll post it in the event. I want to know those things so that I can cover topics of interest. If they're teachers, I want to know that so that I can talk about that in my life. I want to know if they're mostly stay-at-home moms. And sometimes my host will tell me that, they don't really care about the green chemicals. Kristen talked about that so much. In the South, people aren't as concerned sometimes with chemicals, but they're sure about spending a lot less time cleaning or something else. And you can kind of gear it and still talk about chemicals. Obviously, that's a part of our mission. But then try to highlight on some other areas, especially a lot of people in my personal circle here. They're frugal mamas. They're one-income families. Speak to that. That's why I joined Norwex now. We were that one-income family. And Norwex has provided an additional income that we never imagined for that. So those are just some kind of ideas, and when you're talking to your host and preparing and coaching for that your host coaching is pivotal in that way. And then to incentivizing for results. I think, Andre, you said this, somebody said that, but you're always going to get way much more out of incentivizing than being afraid of what you're giving away. I remember when I first started, I was like, I can't give too much away because that's too much out of my pocket. Maybe you said that. I can't remember. But the return that you get from taking care of your customers, just like getting good customer service, is going to speak volumes. So I do a very similar thing like Andre just did with if you get 2 bookings, you get this. So I actually have a preset thing. Again, y'all can talk to me about it later. But when I send out my host coaching information when the party is created a week before the event, I give her a list of things and I tell her if she accomplishes each thing on her list, she's going to get 5 additional extra shopping spree dollars to her host rewards. And so I incentivize for what you want, and it's just good business sense. Don't incentivize something that's not going to give you a return. So make sure it's something that when you get 10 plus orders, I'm going for the orders. I'm not going necessarily for guest count because I don't have people coming to a home. It's a Facebook Live. So I'm incentivizing for that. I'm incentivizing for 2 plus bookings. And then you can do that again on the live. If the first 2 people to book are going to get this, whatever you want to give, and then the host is going to get something too. And the host knows that beforehand because I've already coached her and I've given her a list to reference. So incentivizing for results, again, you guys can ask me about that, but I definitely always incentivize my host to help her engage me and engage her guests, because your host is going to make all the difference in your Facebook parties. If she's excited, if she's interacting with her people and doing what you're doing, or doing what you're asking her to do, and she's partnering with you, you're going to see all the difference, as we know, in the party results. Which is why I have a $1,300 party right now. Not only do you want your host partnering with you to interact, but sometimes I think we post. People think on social media, I post something and everybody's just going to comment on it. Everybody's just going to like it. That's not true. So you have to learn how to kind of make it fun and not get discouraged, but also, again, continue that relationship with your host to tag people. Tagging people is a big thing. There's I think it was 3 podcasts recently posted by Norwex that talks about these specific things in your VIP group and parties. And the truth of the matter is no matter where you're at in leadership with Norwex, we all do it a little bit different. And the biggest encouragement that I can give y'all, because I struggled with this so much in the beginning, was being like someone else, which is one of the tips that you gave when you said, what do you want for your business, or who do you need to be? Who I need to be is not Melanie Goggins. Who I need to be is not Megan Slate or Jessica Radu or Chris Carlson. I need to be me in the way that, like you said, there's some way that I need to change and challenge and grow, but I need to be me and find what fits my personality. So if I'm quirky and funny, I need to work with that. Like Andre has her own style, she works with that. If you can add your own flavor to it, let that be. And sometimes you get those people that are just like the sweetest, most you just want to hug them. You got those real tender people like that. So whatever your personality is, let it shine and pretend like you're just talking to people like you normally are. It's just in front of a camera. So just learning to get comfortable with yourself and not focusing on what everyone else is doing, but what are your strengths. And using Facebook to highlight that and the strength that you have. Also with interaction, when people are commenting, sometimes I think it's easy, just we're in our mindset is just to like something. But as people are participating in your event, make sure you're responding back. And it doesn't need to be salesy. If somebody's, like if you post a meme and says, what's your least favorite chore? And people say, oh, the bathroom. I used to all the time say, oh, you'll love our bathroom cleaner and our toilet brush and stuff like that. But sometimes just respond back with a funny GIF. And then have that personal conversation later. Say like, hey, I know that you really struggled with the bathroom. Here's what can help you. Just try to keep your posts, just like in the same way with your personal Facebook. You don't want to make everything about Norwex. You want to keep it like 80% personal, 20% business, because if all you're ever posting about is your business stuff, that's all, people are just going to start to ignore you. And it's the same way in your events. You want to be educational, but you want to have fun, and you want to have interaction posts. You want to kind of change it up so that you have a little bit of taste of everything for people, and for people to see that you're more than just a direct salesperson, because that's what they're honestly a lot of times seeing you as, is she's just another direct seller. So you want to set the mindset different in that way too, and letting your personality shine, and just changing up the posts, and not just making everything about a sale. Also, too, you can also follow the outline. Norwex has done a phenomenal job, y'all, with training us and giving us what we need. There's a whole checklist in the back office, if you type in Ask Nora, of what you should do. It's called a Facebook checklist, and it talks about like different days. You should have a good amount of graphics, videos, games, and then talk about the sales, and then your live demos and stuff. So just having that good mixture of those different things is really going to help you, and as far as content. Another thing that I can encourage y'all, and I get this a lot, is people, and I think we have to remember, like when y'all look at Facebook, what do you think of as spammy? What turns you off when you start seeing other people like post stuff? Like what turns you away?
Here's my website.
Okay, just, they're not explaining it to you, here's my link. Are they posting like 10 times a day? They're overwhelming you with information or stuff that just, or when you talk to them, they don't care about you. They don't want to have a conversation with you. They just want to sell you something. And so I think sometimes there's just like these agendas of like, if we're not being personal with people and showing them the need and then continuing to have that relationship, and I think that's the biggest thing with our business, even if it's online, is relationships are always going to matter way more than whatever product that you're selling. And you show the need to people that have. And so if it's getting rid of chemicals, if it's saving time, if it's saving money, that's something for all of us. But I can't emphasize enough the relationship that still matters online, and not treating people, we talk about not treating people as a project. Don't treat people as just like a, I don't know the word, but they're just there to buy, transaction. Because people are gonna feed off of that. Think of one direct seller that you know that you just absolutely love. Why do you love them? Probably because they're personal with you, probably because they're fun and they're engaging with you, and they actually, you feel like they kind of care for you. They're kind of like your friend, and they don't just post about their business all the time. So that's one thing I try to keep in mind too when I'm doing parties, is what would turn me away, and how can I kind of steer away from that and be different in that sense, and keeping that personal touch. Because you can do it online, it's just a little bit different. Follow-up is key. It will make or break your party. So have your host do the follow-up and provide the verbiage for her. Give her the tools. If you want her to follow up and you want her to do the work for you and take that off of you, go ahead and create your scripts and your graphics so that it's easy to send out and be done, and she doesn't have to rack her brain over like, what am I going to say, what am I going to do? Do the work for her, do the work up front so that it's easier for you and for her in the end. So provide the verbiage as you're giving out those tips to her. And then another good thing too, because you get a lot of returning customers, as you're creating scripts and graphics, is to remember to rotate them. Because if you're getting people that are coming to parties in and out, you do want to rotate it. So a lot of my stuff this month is just Christmas themed. And that's really fun. Last month it was Thanksgiving themed. So that's a good way. In the spring, it's spring cleaning themed. In the summer, it's summer stuff. So in the same way you're doing it for in-home parties, do it online and rotate your graphics, even your before and after pictures, so that the returning guests that you have or hosts are seeing something a little bit different. And it amazes me, the hosts that I even have that come to parties and are like, oh, I didn't notice that before. I didn't know that. And I'm like, you hosted a party for me. How did you not know that? But they are still learning, and they don't know it all like we think that they do. And one of the last things I'll talk about is having personal conversations people ask me, well, how do you talk to people on your online parties? I have a hard time communicating with people. And it comes from commenting and interacting on the comments that people are leaving. And having as much conversation and interaction on the party posts as you can. And then also too, I post my phone number. I do like a text to win game the night of the party for them to text me, just so I can keep personal conversations and I can follow up with text message. If you do project broadcast, that's another way to implement it in. But messaging, not only leaving it to your host, because I don't just leave it to my host, I personally message and follow up with people too. And then after they order as well, following up, you can email them, text them, call them, however you still want to do your follow-up. But your follow-up is going to be so pivotal to your customers. Every single person that I talk to, as soon as they order, they are for sure getting my VIP link because I want them in my group so that I can continue to educate them and help them. But then it also, so I can have that booking conversation. And y'all, something I learned even today, I'm going to keep that recruiting conversation going because I'm always going for the booking, which is great for my business. But what do I want? I want to be a red jacket leader. How am I going to do that? I have to recruit and I have to step up my game and where I'm weak in that. So that just shows me that as I'm not only looking for those booking seeds and asking people to host parties, but looking for the people that are really intrigued and offering the business opportunity as well. But those conversations have to continue, and don't be afraid to ask the question. And it can be something like, did you have fun tonight? Or what did you think about the party? Or whatever it is, that however you want to do that. But keeping those personal conversations are key. And you can have personal conversations with people online, with online parties. I do it all the time. After that, and you're done with the parties, another thing that I can encourage you is your VIP is huge, and staying consistent in that. Use your group scheduling post functions because that'll keep you consistent even if you feel like you're too crazy busy to post every day or a few times a week. But your VIP page is huge. That's how I get a lot of my returning customers. I had horrible parties last month, but because of my VIP groups, like can't remember. I definitely had over $1,000 in sales this month just from my VIP group from that detergent sale. I just closed out a $1,000 party from doing that detergent sale. So you can make it work for you, make the 12 days of gifting sale work for you as well. But your VIP people are going to be your reoccurring customers that you want to continue to bless and educate and help them with as well. And the last thing is just kind of funny. Don't take yourself too seriously. I have bloopers. I say things all the time that are wrong. People don't know. They don't know if you don't tell them. And I forget to mention things and it still happens. But then on the other side of that, but do set up a workspace and be organized. It does matter how you schedule, how you create your scripts and your party flow. It matters. And just remember that, again, don't take yourself too seriously, and it's trial and error, and you learn as you go. And do what works for you.
I love it. Oh my
Good
God.
job.